From the headquarters of teleSUR English in Quito, Ecuador, this is From the South. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. British musician and founder of Pink Floyd, Roger Waters, was in Ecuador this week visiting indigenous people in the country's Amazon region. He went to support the communities affected by decades of oil pollution by Chevron Texaco. On Monday, the country's Civil Aviation Authority initially refused to grant permission for his plane to land in the Amazonian town of Lago Agrio.
But we, activists around the world, are very...
On his return to Quito, teleSUR sat down for an exclusive interview with Roger Waters. He spoke about the need to understand our responsibility to our fellow human beings and the planet.
The planet is dying. And I want it to still be there for my great-grandchildren, if possible, and even their children, great-grandchildren. Wouldn't it be nice if the human race learned to be progressive and learned to think about and imagine what the future might be, rather than just, boom, let's blow it all up? It's not about rock stars or musicians, it's about every human being understanding their responsibility to their fellow human beings and to the planet, or we're all dead very soon. That is the sad and sickening thing about the American empire, is that they've fucked up so many other places, and as did the British, I have to say, as do all colonial empires. They really screw things up. They don't help anybody to progress or go anywhere. They only hinder the potential the human race has to develop in a progressive way.
You can catch teleSUR's full exclusive interview with Roger Waters on his trip to Ecuador on Wednesday. This 20th of November, Brazil is marking the Day of Black Consciousness to bring awareness to Black struggle in the Latin American countries and to raise awareness about their contributions. The day is observed throughout Brazil, too particular by social movements. The landless workers movement is recognizing the country's quilombos and their struggle for land rights and sovereignty. The movement is also paying tribute to Black artists, LGBT activists, and elect officials involved in the struggle for equal rights. Central American migrants participated in the migrant caravan continue to arrive in Tijuana, where they'll ask for entrance and asylum at the U.S. border. These are images from a short time ago showing migrants heading from a city park in Mexicali. After gathering there, the group plans to walk to Tijuana, where members of the first caravan group are camped out and awaiting processing of their asylum request. Meanwhile, new groups are continuing to assemble their embark on the long journey from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Our correspondent in Tijuana, Pablo Perez, gives us more details on the migrant caravan.
Well, we're here again at the Deportivo Benito Juárez in Tijuana. This is the place where most of the migrant caravan is hosted so far. And well, we have news. It seems that all the people, all the migrants that were that were holded up at Mexicali, that's a city that's 170 kilometers away from here, they finally decided to retake the road to come to Tijuana and meet with the rest of the caravan. So they are betting on being stronger by numbers, being safer, and also having a bigger bargaining capacity to negotiate with the border authorities in order to be able to cross and apply for refugee or asylum. That is their ultimate goal, and it has been made difficult by Donald Trump's executive order that changed all the rules about the refugee status application that usually was made after entering the North American soil by any way. Many of them entered illegally, and then when they were detained by the Border Patrol, they applied for the refugee status. Well, that stopped with Donald Trump, but it has changed because a judge from California's court has vetted that executive order, and actually this judge's decision has changed because a judge from California's court has vetted that executive order, and actually this judge's decision had made the executive order unoperative for the time that the process on deciding if it is legal or not is taken. So there is a chance, there is a window of opportunity for these migrants to go to the American states after this judge's decision, and we are here waiting for them if they decide to take this opportunity or they decide to act in any other way.
Thank you, Pablo, for that report. In a blow to U.S. President Donald Trump's immigration agenda, a federal judge has temporarily blocked his order to ban migrant asylum seekers from illegally crossing the Mexican border into the U.S. The ruling could have an immediate impact on thousands of members of the migrant caravan currently gathering in Tijuana. It effectively opened the door for more members of the caravan to request asylum in the U.S. The judge said that the president may not rewrite immigration laws to impose a condition that Congress has expressly forbidden. The Trump administration is forbidden from enforcing the new rules until the court case proceeds on December 19.
People can come in, but they have to come in through the port.
November 20th is International Transgender Day of Remembrance. This day pays tribute to victims of transphobia. At least 369 trans people have been killed in 2018, according to the organization Trans Respect. According to the group, 4 of the most dangerous countries in the world for trans people are Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, and the United States. We're now being joined live by transgender rights activist and filmmaker Christine Ruggiemon in Peru. Hello, Christine.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Well, so it's a very bad day today because we still have many people in our community who died this year. As every year, it's always between 300 and 400 or 500 every year, and we are fed up with that. So you asked me because our statistics show that so many people that were killed this year. Well, why do you think it still happened? It still happened because people don't take care to our community, because we don't, as I say on the pictures, we are equal to everybody. We are not different from everybody, but people think that not being in the same gender or feeling to be in another gender is a difference that can't exist. But it exists. It exists. And you know, it was existing before in many communities, in many countries, but as religion and other things made it being a bad thing, you know? And so what is the roots of this violence? This violence is because ignorance of people can be different, and that gender is not a thing so important. We are people, and what we want is to be equal to everybody.
Now,
and
Christine?
I think this is what,
Sorry to interrupt. Statistics show that at least 369 transgender men and women were killed this year. How do you think this is still happening, and what's at the root of this violence?
Well, what is still happening is because no government want to do something for that, because they think we are not so important. You know, I have a great example of this. This summer, I was in Paris, and one of the friends in our organization was murdered in the Bosco de Bologna. So even me, I know many politics. I send message on the mail and nobody answer. you know. And after they tell me, oh, it was summer, you know. You see, those shooting are mine. It was my shoot, some of them. Yeah, we're always at that. The politics don't want to do anything, and ignorance do the rest. People kill us because they think we are not equal.
Christine, one last question.
Yeah.
Sex workers make up 62 of reported transphobia-related killings, with a majority of the victims being people of color. Are transgender people in even more risk of discrimination and violence than other minorities?
Yeah. It's so terrible. It's because, you know, exclusion. Because when you are, why it's so many sex workers? Sex worker may be a job for people. It's job sometimes. Sometimes it's the only way to live. They don't have the choice, and so because of discrimination, you know, everywhere in the world, discrimination to find a job, social discrimination to have an apartment. People don't think, well, it's always the same thing. People don't think we are equal to everybody and we can't have the same rights of everybody. And you know, why is the minorities? It's because the minorities are poor, because they are the person who some, you know, in Paris we have many people from South America because they want to find healthcare, because they are always the last who been treated for many infection. They want to have a place in the society. They want to be equal to everybody, and they don't have. So they go in another country. So there are migrant people sometimes are persons of colors for other people, but it's always discrimination. Always discrimination made murders, made violence.
Christine, thank you so much for sharing this information with us today. That was Christine Rigemont from Peru. And moving on, security forces have clashed with the students and pro-indigenous activists in Chile during a protest in front of the presidential palace in capital Santiago. Police vehicles sprayed water against protesters who were calling for the resignation of Interior Minister Andrés Chadwick. This comes almost a week after Mapuche community leader Camilo Cartillanga was killed during a police operation. Security forces also used tear gas in an attempt to stop the demonstration.
We've always known that in Chile they are repressing the indigenous people. This war started a long time ago. This repression has been in place for many previous governments because they want to throw the Mapuche off their lands to establish forest industries.
It is not enough that these people resigned. The ones who were in charge of the operation should also be fired.
People also protested in the Mapuche community of Temucuicui, where Cartillanga was from. Clashes between community members and the police left at least 6 people wounded, a pregnant woman among them. People abroad are also condemning the murder of the young Mapuche activists. Hundreds of people gathered in New Zealand to demand justice be served during the Chilean President Sebastián Piñera's official visit.
What happened to Camilo, President?
We have more about the murder of Camilo Cartillanga in this report.
It took just until the media left the Temucuicui community for police to once again raid the area.
Even after killing one of us, they continue to harass and criminalize us. We are afraid. They just fired at us with no provocation.
6 people were wounded, among them a pregnant woman who had to be rushed to the hospital. These people say they can no longer tolerate state terrorism.
What's wrong with you? He loves the weapon. He loves the weapon. It's not enough to kill one of us. They want to kill more.
These videos show what the special forces wanted to hide.
The events that led to the death of Camilo Catrillanca were in the memory card of the body cam of the officer who shot him. He initially said he had no camera, but he did, as mandated by law, but he destroyed the memory card. That's unacceptable.
sí tenía una cámara de vigilancia.
Destroying evidence and obstruction of justice cost 6 officers their job. But mourners know who is responsible for Camilo's death.
Chadwick and Mayo must leave their post. They are responsible for what happened. They treated my child as a criminal. We will not accept this. The government must admit this was a massacre.
The Interior Minister was in a rush to avoid more questions about murder number 16 of Amapuche, under what is supposed to be a democracy.
Former Venezuelan minister and diplomat Ali Rodriguez Araque has died in Havana. Rodriguez Araque served in various positions under late President Hugo Chavez and President Nicolás Maduro. He was known for being dedicated public servant and socialist who also held the position of Secretary General of UNASUR. He was 81 years old. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back. The second day of the first Worldwide Forum on Critical Thinking is taking place in Argentina. A week ahead of the G20 meeting in that country, Latin American leaders are hosting. The theme of the event is fighting for equality, social justice, and democracy. During the 4-day meeting, leaders are discussing social issues affecting the region. Political scientist and member of the Spanish party Podemos, Juan Carlos Monedero, sat down with Vice President of Bolivia, Álvaro García Linera, who expressed his optimism for the left in Latin America.
I'm convinced that this won't last, that the long neoliberal night will turn out to be a short one. And that's where it's our responsibility to see what we've done well and see what we have done badly. The left must prepare to take power within the next few years.
Our correspondent in Buenos Aires, Edgardo Esteban, brings us more from the forum's second day.
We are here at the second day of Glasgow, as speakers have been welcomed with great anticipation, in particular the Bolivian Vice President Álvaro García Linera, who spoke about finding new ways to return to the years of prosperity when left-wing popular forces were in power. The mothers and grandmothers of the Plaza de Mayo will also contribute their experiences as activists standing against various right-wing government policies. Today's event is being attended by thousands of guests from around the world, who show great interest and enthusiastically participate in every forum.
People living near the Fuego volcano have returned home after being evacuated from the area. Our correspondent in Guatemala, Santiago Botón, has more details.
Authorities have said the volcano eruptive phase has ended. Only moderate eruptions report weaker explosions, just 8 to 13 per hour. On Monday, more than 3,000 people were evacuated from the area surrounding the Fuego volcano. Communities like Morelia, El Porvenir, Santa Sofía, and Penimache were covered with ash. Families have not returned to their communities and their belongings. Families that live in high-risk areas remain in shelters.
A new group of Venezuelan migrants is preparing to return home under the Return to the Homeland Plan. 100 people in total will return today. To date, 1,200 Venezuelans have returned from Peru alone.
Above all, what we're missing is our families, our children who we left behind in Venezuela. This is really one of the main reasons I am returning as well, because I really miss my daughter a lot. I'm going back for her. I have to return because of her. Very tough. We came here to find work and count ability, but I think everybody had to see it with their own eyes to believe it. But it was very, very tough experience. Yes, I'm returning to my family, and it's because of what I've gone through here.
Our correspondent in Bogota, Paola Fernandez, brings us more about the students' claims.
Cordial saludo para usted y para todos los televidentes.
Talks have restarted between public education representatives and the Colombian government. But just as these talks have restarted, various student marches from all across the country are heading towards Bogota, demanding to meet with President Iván Duque. Duque has so far avoided meeting students, sending various delegates to meet with them instead. The only answer students have received so far is that there are no funds to provide a higher budget for public education. Nonetheless, students demand guarantees to access quality education. Right now, the number of high school graduates far surpasses the number of available places in public universities. And beyond this, universities are falling apart due to their lack of budget. But it's not just university students who are raising their voices. Teachers and students from all levels of education are joining in the national strike, which has already passed 40 days. Transport unions also announced they will be joining student organizations and indigenous communities in the strike on November 28th. Unions and social organizations are set to hold one massive mobilization to condemn President Duque's policies.
Thank you, Paola, for that report. More details are emerging of the team that will implement the law and order agenda of Brazil's president-elect, Jair Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro has already named his Justice Minister, Judge Sergio Moro, who led to the case to imprison the former president, Lula da Silva. Moro now says he will appoint others who work with him on the car wash corruption investigation to top positions. His new head of the federal police will be Mauricio Veilox. He is currently the federal police chief in Curitiba and carried out the arrest of Lula.
I always say that I would be a fool if I didn't make use of the people who work with me, especially in the Operation Car Wash investigation, because these people have already proven both their integrity and their efficiency.
On Monday, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley gave the future address at International Parliamentary Exchange with gender equality advocates. She told those in attendance that gains secured by the few cannot be encountered as gains achieved by all.
That those things have now to translate themselves to the basic aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals, but at the level of our communities. Because if we achieve that, we've effectively achieved a large measure of sustainable development. There can be no sustainable development that precludes the progress of women. There can be no sustainable development that is premised on discrimination. There can be no sustainable development that precludes opportunity.
We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us.
An occasion to enjoy the cultural diversity that defines our South American essence. Come along to find out the story behind these personalities, traditions, and artistic expressions that unite us as a whole. Real Lives, Friday, only on teleSUR.
Welcome back. Fighting between Saudi-led coalition forces and Houthi rebels in Yemen has escalated around the port of Hodeida despite UN calls for a ceasefire. A spokesperson for the Saudi-led coalition said that the coalition has rejected the ceasefire and will continue carrying out military operations. The war between the US-backed Saudi coalition and Houthi rebels has killed 10,000s of people and pushed millions to the brink of starvation.
Coalition has now advanced the battle line to 4 kilometers from Hodeidah harbor and 3 kilometers from the center of Al-Hodeidah. The military operation is now going on, and its primary object is to destroy the Houthi supply routes in various regions. Only the tempo of the military advancement with the city of Al-Hodeidah may vary at different times.
Thousands of people have participated in a rally in Gaza City to commemorate the 14th anniversary of the death of late Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. The late Palestinian leader died on November 11, 2004 at a French hospital. He had been flown to the hospital after suffering from a sudden illness, following an Israeli military siege of the presidential headquarters in Ramallah. He was elected Palestinian president in 1996 and became the global face of the Palestinian struggle.
We have come today for the commemoration of Yasser Arafat, this leader whose name exceeds all words and geography. We have come to confirm the pledge and promise. We are the sons of this great leader. We came today to renew our loyalty for Palestine and to say that we are going to Arafat's path.
And with this story, we come to the end of this news brief. These and many other stories you can find at our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Jose Dadien Lopez. Thank you for watching.